Brunch Culture.
We want to talk about faith. We want to talk about politics. We want to talk about race. We want to talk about pop culture. Literally, everything is up for discussion, and that's what Brunch Culture is about. It's about a thing. Feel real good. Wave your hands in the air and lick 2 shots in the air.
Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. She's Lisa V.
And he's Randall Keith.
And this is another episode of Brunch Culture, the weekly show where everything is up for discussion. Now, Lisa, I got a question for you.
Huh?
Well, recently, Paula White stated that when you come against President Donald Trump, you are coming against a man of God, and he is God's child, and he is here on assignment by God. How do you feel?
Paula White has no credibility. Ever since I saw her on TBN or the Word Network asking for an odd number for a prophetic come up, I couldn't. In my eyes, I couldn't.
Lisa, what was the number?
It was something like 125.52. It was something random. And I said, you know what? God don't want my change. I can't do it. You know, her gig is she's white and she preached black. She black. It's culture appropriation. It's like Kardashian of black church. I don't know.
She says the Kardashian of black church. They're everywhere. They're taking over. We can't have nothing. We can't have our music. We can't have our fashion. We can't have our lips, our hips, and not even our preachers.
Wheezing while you preach it, that's belong to black people.
Gosh.
That when you do that, when I don't know what to say, man, to give you a nebulizer, that's black preaching. That's not for you. You gotta stop. Just let us have ours. Let us have it. I can't. I don't.
She asked for 52 cents. She asked for 52 cents. She said the Holy Spirit moved her.
Listen,
God, and he got it down to the penny. The Holy Spirit had done calculated how much change he needed from each person in the congregation. Oh my gosh.
Into a service where they tell you that it's 10 people in here to give $100 and then only 5 walk up and then they act like God changed his mind. That be confusing me. I just be like, what if we...
That's why she said she gonna fix it. She said, you know what? This how I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna ask them to bring some change too. So what you do if you don't have the change though? Like, y'all got
I don't know.
It's like an ATM.
I've been in a service where they be like, well, if 10 people don't got it, it's y'all get up in groups and get it. Now, wait a minute. You said 10 people. Now, we not in slavery. We not 3/5. We are whole people now.
Oh.
I don't trust you. I can't. I don't trust that.
God is out here flexing this CPA he got. He getting down to the change. He telling about this 52 cent.
Just tell me you short in your monthly overall cost, and you need. This is what you calculated so y'all can break even and pay people's salary and your TV cost. Just tell us the truth. I would more give to that.
God, they calculated the 22 cent. Oh God.
So what happened was they looked and saw they was in the red for the month, and they divided it by how many people had to give it to them. Just tell me that. Tell me the truth.
Paula White is out here telling folks that I just can't take it, Lord. You are fighting against the hand of God, and she need 52 cents for her to tell you that. This is incredible.
Yeah, I can't call it. Everybody who's supporting Trump is still saying he's God's man. I don't know. I don't know what type of God they serve. But, you know, who am I? who is me to judge?
Who are me to judge? Whatever happened to that guy? He's still out here scamming people too.
I want him and Paula White to go to the same place and take a break and get away from social media and church. Just all of it. Just take a break.
Paula White. All right. Well, after one of the best laughs, I needed that laugh. That was like the best laugh of the day. Let's get into this mimosas and orange juice. I don't even know what to say. I don't know where to start.
Well, Tori Hart, she out here, she feel the same way. She want Nico to go somewhere, apparently, with these. They say they lying on each other.
Truthfully, Nico needs to go somewhere though. Real talk. Did you follow like everything that happened?
I followed some of the thread, but I felt like Nico shouldn't have said anything about anything.
Nothing whatsoever. So to catch y'all up to speed, if y'all don't know, so Nico posts a picture of her and Kevin Hart. A fan comments on the picture and basically says something like, I guess Nico in her caption said like her and Kevin Hart been together for like 8 years and counting or something like that. So a fan is like, well, check it. You know, he's only been divorced for 6 years. So you might want to put you might not want to put a timeline out here because you gloating as if, you know, this is like an amazing relationship, but y'all been together longer than he's been divorced. Like it shows a problem. And so Nico pretty much responds, you know, saying that she's not like flaunting anything and the marriage that he had was broken up. She pretty much says that she's comfortable. She's used to people saying that she was the side chick because she broke up the home, but she never broke up a home. She was the only one that stuck. There was multiple women that came, so many other women that came before her. They had marriage problems. They weren't living together. The marriage was over. And her and Kevin Hart got together, basically saying like, and she said that's the thing that started. She said Tori Hart put that out there to play, in quotes, the victim. So then Tori Hart responds and was basically like Nico forced her hand. You know, she's like, why
did she even bring her anyway?
Which
that's
was
so crazy.
Yeah, and that's the reason that I was like, this whole thing, like you should have said nothing. You should have said nothing at all, especially directing it to the ex-wife. Like, no, honestly, as I watched the video, I think TMZ did with Tori Hart, and she was like, truly numbers don't lie. And it's kind of like, yo, Nico, truth be told, you can't really argue with numbers. Whether they were like not together physically or emotionally they were separated, they were still married, yo. And so based on that, you're going to always lose this argument. Like you might as well not even try to come up with something or try to say that, oh, it was her, she came up with all this, because you, based on dates and numbers, you were going to lose this battle. Just don't say nothing. Shut up. Like, but for me, it's kind of one of those things of, I think to me, it just kind of shows signs that maybe Nico is not as confident in her relationship as she says she is. Where she feels the need that she has to respond to just some random fan. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Tori Hart or somebody else that maybe would have some sort of inside scoop to their relationship, said something, so she needs to defend herself. She said it to a fan. It's like in a clapback moment. Like, just don't say nothing at all.
I'm going to blame it on the hormones. Maybe she's hormonal because she's pregnant.
I can give her that. Maybe because
I mean, I'm sure this is not the first time this was said, and she seems like they don't seem like they respond to things personally. But maybe that's the reason she did it. But again, you're gonna lose, you're gonna lose every time because all you're saying is, yes, he cheated with me, but I wasn't the only one.
Right, and I'm the one that stuck. That's what she said, and I was kind of like, I mean, you know, I'm not a woman, so I don't know if that's like a thing that makes you feel special, but like,
shouldn't that be like he was cheating on you too?
Yeah, like is that a good thing that, you know, he cheated with all these other women, but you're the one that just kind of stayed around? Like that's something you're supposed to be proud of.
His non-loyalty, because I mean, from what I've gathered from their situation, Tori worked and supported him while he was trying to come up.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't have loyalty to her in regards to faithfulness, why should he have loyalty to you who hasn't supported him on his come up? You know what I'm saying? You're kind of just you're reaping the benefits of his come up.
Yeah.
So
it's not. It wasn't well. Just wasn't well put together. Like that wasn't a. It just wasn't a good thing. What I will say though, and this is honestly to everybody that keeps saying this, frustrates me all the time, and I always have these type of problems with people in general. Stop saying that it's a feud between a Nico and the ex-wife and they both are wrong. Like, come on, no. Like, if you read Tori Hart's response, and even if you just watched the video clip, there was nothing that she said, honestly, that was out of line. And and even if she did, she was responding to something that was completely left field. Like, y'all got to stop blaming both parts on somebody defending themselves. Like, honestly, Tori Hart is saying, yo, you forced my hand. Like, you either finna make me look like I'm a liar to the general public. You know that, you have a following. Kevin Hart has a following. We're in this situation based on this celebrity that he has and how big his name is. So everybody has opinions about it. It's best if you just don't even say nothing. But don't blame, oh, they're having this big feud and both women just need to move on and get over it. Tori Hart moved on. She over it. She the only reason
you just dragged me in.
Exactly. The only reason she's responding because you said that I made this up to play a quote unquote victim when the dude has admitted that he cheated on her multiple times. Like, he also admitted that they got physically violent with each other multiple times. Yo, like, I'm not playing a victim. Fool, I was a victim. Like, you need to shut up before you become a victim. Like,
yeah, I think it's just crazy. I know that he did say something about it on his Instagram story, but I didn't get to listen to it all. I know it's probably gone now because that was like 48 hours ago. But he did say something. It was
just something I didn't watch. I don't know if I watched the whole thing. I just watched some clip that people were saying was his response. And all he was saying was that, like, he's open about his life and his relationship and the things that he's done wrong and his flaws, and he did it in his stand up and he grew in his stand up and stuff like that. And he was like, and people still trying to tell him that they know more about his relationship than him. So he didn't directly address it. I imagine that he probably wouldn't, because I feel like if he tells the truth, then he would probably be seen as being on Tori Hart's side. And then if he don't tell the truth, then he'll seem like he'll be on the Nico side, but then everybody would argue him down about how wrong he is. So it's just kind of like, bruh, just, you played it cool by addressing the fact that the general public keep talking about your life and just keep moving. Like, because this is a losing battle.
And he said he would never publicly say anything bad about his ex-wife because that's the mother of his kids, which I respect.
But he used to, though, which is the thing. I'm actually glad that he stopped, because the stand-up show that I went to in Orlando, he was going in on her. And,
oh, wow, really?
Yeah, like, not like, he wasn't like calling her out of her name, but he kept talking about how crazy she was and how she was bitter, and like, when something is over, you just need to let it go and move on. You can't sit around and be mad at me because I found happiness. Just be happy for me. And I remember, like, there were people in the audience like cheering and like, oh, and I was just kind of like, but bruh, that's not really fair. Like, I mean, you cheated on a lady, bruh. Like, y'all was married. Like, she bust her ass to get you, to support you to get here, and like, you cheat on her apparently multiple times, and now you off to be with somebody that you're saying that you're so in love with, which is, it's fair, whatever, you're in love, that's cool, but like, don't talk about it. It's best just not to say nothing about her at all. Just be like, you know what, it is what it is. I think she crazy, I'm just gonna leave it alone, as opposed to going and talking about she crazy and she's bitter. It was he kind of went on the same thing of like what people go in on Steve Harvey about, like with his ex-wife, saying, yo, she just need to get over it and she need to move on. And it's like, yes, that's true. At some point in time, you have to let it go and move on. But you can't argue with these people hurt or the process that they have to go through. Tell them they need to speed up their process, because obviously you over it. You the one that cheated. Like,
yeah. And we need to stop hashtagging relationship goals on people's situation that obviously had it's very rocky.
It was built on a lie. Monica said a long time ago, it was built on a lie. So you can't be around here talking about relationship goals when your relationship goals is being like the praise once upon a time side chick. Like, I guess that's.
And you wouldn't want it done to you. That's what I think. That's the thing. You wouldn't want it done to you. I mean, Kevin and Nico's pics are cool. I mean, they're cute. I like them. I hit double tap. But I think, all things considered, you have to be like, well, take things kind of with a grain of salt. Like, this is y'all situation. But I'm not going to hashtag relationship goals on it because I don't want that situation to happen to me. Neither do I want that to be my journey to get to, quote unquote, my soulmate. I just think that's not cool.
You just don't know what people had to go through in order to get there. And I think too, from a place of people that want to be relationship goals, because I think, Kevin Hart and Nico look at themselves as like relationship goals. And I'm not saying that they don't love each other. I'm not saying that the love ain't real. I think just from a fair place and an honest place with both of them, it's kind of like, it's best not to talk negatively about her in that relationship because you don't know. From a Nico's position, it's like, honestly, you don't know what she went through. You weren't there. You know what I'm saying? At least for the bulk of it. Like, you weren't there. Maybe you came around towards the end, but you knew one side, which is his side of what he was telling you because you became like the main girl or his love interest or whatever towards the tail end or whatever happened. It's just kind of like, it's just best if you just stay away from talking about the ex-wife, especially when y'all relationship kind of came out of that situation or happened during the time that situation was still being settled, finalized, and worked out. It's just kind of like, just be like, you know what? Those rumors weren't true. We're in love, or you know what? Like, think what you want to think. I'm in love. We're happy. Here's the numbers that I'm putting out. This is the numbers that we both stand by. It is what it is. Like, just don't address her at all. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like ultimately it makes a tough situation for the kids too, because I'm quite sure they're excited about having a new sibling. Nico's beautiful. I'm pretty sure she's super fun. Like, it just makes the whole co-parenting situation that y'all going through just not good. Especially because y'all got all of these people that's gonna be commenting on it too. It's just best just not to say nothing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, it looks like R. Kelly might be going to jail.
Wait, he is gonna go to jail?
They were just like, people, they are looking into charges. And didn't the girl come out or something and say?
No, I did. Yeah, I was going to say, I did see one article that said that a girl that used to be, she was one of his house girls and one of the girls that was involved with him. But she said this happened during the time that he was going through the trial for the video. And she was like, she would like skip school to have sex with him. Apparently she did a video too. I think she did it with BuzzFeed. Now I didn't read the whole entire.
Skip high school?
Yeah. She would like skip school to go be with R. Kelly. And she signed like NDA agreements. I said NDA agreements. The A is agreements, but non-disclosure agreements. And apparently too, the little article that I read said that this is not just like some random girl that's saying this. They apparently obtained documentation proving that his management company made payments to her. They got copies of the NDAs where she signed it as a teenager, agreeing that for them, by accepting the money, she wouldn't talk about it. She wouldn't ever talk about it. And she's saying that, like, she's cool with breaking her silence and whatever, like, legal repercussions or consequences that come with that, because she wants to help the girls that are in it and also another friend that she introduced to it as well. Like, it's real, like, whoa, this is deep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is some crazy stuff. Like,
he need to go to prison for real.
Be under the jail. Like, it's so sad too, because it's one of those things that at this point, and I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, because I've had, people that say, well, we don't criticize Hugh Hefner about these things, and we don't look at the Playboy Mansion and say that, like, essentially he's doing the same thing. He's housing these women and they're probably performing like sexual favors for him and all of this other stuff, and we don't know. And I'm like, while that could be, there could be possibly slightly some truth, I don't believe that just because he's white and it's accepted that this is the standard that we should have for, be like, oh, well, this is the standard we have for us. Like, no, wrong is wrong. So if this guy's wrong, we need to look into this. But I think the difference that comes with R. Kelly, and I'll say this and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know, Hugh Hefner's like legacy or past or like everything that led up to it. But we know that this guy for sure has had consistently since the 90s some very like questionable activity with young girls. We know that he was married to Aaliyah, and Aaliyah was something like 15 years old. We also know that there's a tape that people say that like it definitely looks like him, but he got off on it. We've heard accounts of so many women that were young women proclaiming that like they've done these things with him and talking about the money. And it's just kind of like at some point in time, you kind of got to stop. You can't really make no more excuses for him. You got to be like, look, I mean, bruh, we gonna follow this innocent until proven guilty, but bro, you got a lot of questionable stuff going on. Like, this a lot. This is not some one isolated situation. And it's like, to know that you have had that type of dealing, if this is not truly who you are and you're not truly that guy, if you know that based on the past and history, people have tried to make you out to be this person, you should probably, and you're a public figure, you should probably want to steer clear of this stuff completely. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And the sad thing is that nothing, honestly, for some people, nothing he does will ever change their perception of him. Like I told you, that woman on my timeline was like, oh, now y'all better get y'all heads off R. Kelly. That kind of fan base he has because people love his music so much that they'll excuse his behavior, and that's not right. Yeah. You need to hold him accountable. I can love Step in the Name of Love and still say you need to be in prison.
And that's a very
true.
Right. That is a very, very true statement. So me and one of my homeboys were talking about it, and I was like, yo, honestly, I'll admit that it is tough and it is challenging. Like, cause Step in the Name of Love has become one of those black family reunion things or black wedding things that you do. We did it at my stepmom's wedding. Right. It's kind of like, it's one of those things that is like, it has become such a norm in people's lives or getting together with their families. It's like somebody telling you that the electric slide, like the person that created the electric slide was out here like raping folks, and you're like, wait, we always do the electric slide. Like, we do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, yo, you can do both. Like, you really can. Like, no, I'm not gonna be out here buying R. Kelly stuff. I'm not streaming stuff. Like, I'm done. I went to Apple Music, was like, please stop playing this artist. But if I already own something of yours, like, it's really, for me, if somebody turns on Step in the Name of Love at a family event, I'm not gonna be like, like, I feel like that's I can't control what you do. That's ludicrous. Like, no, I'm not gonna go out and put my money behind it. But if my mama want me to step side to side, round and round, dipping now because like I taught her how to do it 10 years ago, all right, like, let's do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you can have both. Like, you can agree that I'm not supporting this person. I'm not going to put money behind them. I'm not going to stream their music. Like, I'm not going to support this in this way. And also realize that there's some people in some places where you're probably going to hear this song and you don't have to like fall out and die and be like, oh my gosh, I'm melting. Like, no, it don't have to happen. They don't have to happen like that.
Exactly. It's like you could, know that it's just so many things in history we would have to like not engage in, if that makes sense.
Everything.
We would have to delete everything.
People can be very jacked up. People can be extremely jacked up.
It's like people not watching the Cosbys anymore. Like,
yeah, I feel like maybe we should have that discussion one day, because that is I've gotten to some seriously like heated discussions with people about watching the Cosby Show. And this is coming from me, who did not watch the Cosby Show, did not like the Cosby Show. I thought it was fake. It was something I couldn't relate to. It was not, I was like, this is not real. Like, this ain't it. But I say that, and I also do not think that a person that decides to watch the Cosby Show is horrible. I don't think that they're dumb or they're like, oh, it's like, no, watch the show. Like, it had some, great lessons, from what people have told me. Like, and the things that I did see, I would see like bits and pieces of it. I don't think I might have never even watched a full episode of the Cosby Show. I'm going to say
I wasn't like the biggest fan of it. And not because I thought it was like unrelatable. I just didn't like it that much.
Yeah.
It was just never a show I liked that much. But it was cool. It wasn't like I hated it. Right. Some episodes were okay. But it wasn't like a must watch for me on my whatever night it came on when I was younger. It wasn't that. But I could still pass it and be like, oh, okay. And say, okay, he did wrong by these women. He should be prosecuted for that. I can still say that. I think, I don't know if people have an issue with doing both. I don't have to turn it off when it comes on, but I can still say he needs to go to prison.
I was just going to say, and I think honestly a lot of people have that issue until it's their fave. Until it's somebody that they completely love, and then they're like, oh no, you start to justify it and make excuses for it and be like, well, it ain't that bad, or that's unsubstantiated. And I think that's the type of, for me, that's the type of understanding that I wish people would just carry in every situation. Like, I'm not super tied to Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. Like, there's some songs and like some stuff that's like, oh, that's a classic. Like, yo, that's cool. But I'm not personally gonna be fighting for, oh, but they wrong. Like, no, if they're wrong, they're wrong. What's interesting to me, my love for Boyz II Men, it's so crazy. I started thinking about it. This actually what like kind of helped me out. But I was like, if Boyz II Men did something or said something, or I found out that like Wanye Morris, who I've like idolized since I was a kid, like if he, did something extremely bad, how would that would be hard for me. Like, it would be really, cause it's like all of these different points in my life, this person's music and who that person is, or at least what I've known them to be, has been inspiring and has done all this stuff. But honestly, at the end of the day, I have to get to a point where like, all right, then, he sucks. He needs to pay for it. Like, I still like his music. I still think his voice is great. I still got all these albums, and unlikely I'm still going to listen to them all because I think it's amazing. However, if it's jacked up, then it's just jacked up. And people are complex. Everybody has multiple sides to them and so many different facets of who they are. Like, let's just let them be that way.
Yeah. And if you watch Insecure, you'll know people are complex. I don't know why that just made me think of Insecure, because it's so many characters and complexities.
Yeah, because they got Molly the Hoe on there. But
oh my God. I didn't know.
I'm just playing. I'm joking. I'm really joking, y'all. I really don't think she's My God, that was just, she's like, oh,
my breath
my
away.
God.
God, like, I actually like Molly in the show. I think she's just going through a lot.
I only say that, and we're not going. I feel like this is why I don't like Insecure, because I feel like we always about to talk about it. Like, we literally could talk about this and dissect this show every week. But the only reason I say that, jokingly again, is because I feel like it's so easy for people to give Molly a pass or understand what she's going through. But I feel like my boy Lawrence is going through a lot of stuff too, and nobody don't want to give him no chance. Now,
so how about this eclipse? I don't even got.
That's what we doing?
I don't even got the.
That's what we doing?
To even engage Team Lawrence and Lawrence High. So I saw you on Instagram going your eclipse.
Yeah, so I did the eclipse. I like how you just ignored my whole statement, but that's cool, because we gonna do a show. When this show, when Insecure wraps for this season, we are going to do, it's probably gonna be like a 2-3 hour show where we just gonna hash it out. We just gonna dive into it. and really just talk about it. But anyway, I did the eclipse. I saw the eclipse. Of course, in DC, we only got like, I think it was 81% of an eclipse. It was pretty dope. Actually, with Saturday and Sunday, I woke up and went to the museum, the Air and Space Museum. They were giving out free glasses, the solar viewing glasses.
DC? It's in DC?
The Air and Space Museum?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually have 2 locations. It's one in like Northern Virginia, and then there's another one that's right in DC.
Never knew it.
They're actually pretty.
I thought you went out of town.
No,
I was like, oh, he went out of town.
They're actually both pretty nice. So I went and viewed it on a national mall. So we only got 81% coverage, but with the glasses, you could actually see, you know, the moon start peeking. And for a lot of times, it really did look like Miss Pac-Man. It was real cool. It was like regular Miss Pac-Man, then Miss Pac-Man that was a little malnourished, then Miss Pac-Man that was like in hospice about to go out, and then like she got it turned around, then she came back. It was actually cool. And it was a bunch of people, you know, out there sitting on the grass. That's one of the things that I love too. There was like old people doing it. There was young people. It was pretty cool. But I also saw the video from, I think Charleston, South Carolina, where it went completely dark. That was pretty dope. That was really, really dope.
Yeah, my brother's in Columbia, and he said he saw it. It went completely dark where he was.
Nice.
So in Jacksonville, it was super, super cloudy because it's been raining this whole summer. I've never known it to happen like this, but it's been raining every day this summer, almost every day. And so it was super cloudy. People were saying they was seeing it. I went to go get me some lunch, and all the workers were outside trying to look at the eclipse. I was like, hey, so somebody go fix me some food? Because I'm trying to figure out what we're looking at. Because I'm looking at the sky and don't see really nothing. Then I'm scared to look at the sky. I don't want to be like Donald Trump and be disobedient.
This guy.
Yeah.
We didn't even go there because that was real. Yeah, it was real dumb.
He doesn't listen to anybody, but, you know, I digress. So I didn't really pay any attention to it. So, but much love to y'all who went out there and did the whole full eclipse day.
Yeah, it was. I took the day off. It was good. It was good. It was a good time. Actually, I Ubered into DC, and my Uber driver was talking about it. He didn't really speak much English.
You talk to your Uber drivers?
Yeah, I usually, you know, it depends.
You're a good Christian. Because, you know, when I get in the Uber, I just be like, oh, okay, where we going? I say, hey, and I don't want to have no more conversation. The last time I was in DC, this was so crazy. The girl was on, she was having a conversation with her homegirl when I got in the Uber. She continued to talk, but then she brought me in the conversation. About her. She was like, my homegirl on the phone talking about, you know, dating some dude that's 35 years old. What you think? And I'm like, well, I'm 30. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. But she was like, oh, you 30? So it was like, I was like, why are we having a 3-way conversation? I don't even mind that you talk to your friend. You don't have to talk to me though. And I will give you 5 stars. Shout out to you for talking to you.
Yeah, you know, I always try to. I actually got a free ride by doing it one time. And you know, typically I just end up talking to people because I kind of like talking to folks. But
you're extroverted.
I really think I'm introverted, but that's a whole other thing. And I'll tell you, have we done a show about that? Maybe we need to do a show about that.
We'll add that to the list.
Yeah, we gotta
right after Insecure.
I just feel like you waiting to go in on me for Insecure, and that's cool though.
I don't know. Y'all trying to be Team Lawrence. He ain't seem like a stand-up guy. Blocking people because he see a picture.
Lawrence is. I'm not saying because you know the thing. I was real quiet from the last time with the two girls from the grocery store. It was.
Why they had to be white?
It was just a lot happening, and I was like, bruh, I've been trying to, you know, I'm still on your side, bro, but you it's like you support somebody, it's like your friend, they do something real stupid, and you be like, I mean, I've been, up until now, I've been advocating for you, but now it's like, bruh, for $40, like, $40, like, that's all it took. And then it was cokeheads, it was, alright, yeah, but, so anyway, The other thing, just real fast, we've been here for a little minute. Did you see that LaToya Luckett got engaged?
Yeah, shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to LaToya Luckett. Did you hear the backlash of people and like saying that she's an avid, she's a, what was it? Not an avid engager, but she like gets engaged too much, or she's a chronic engager or something like that. And like, they were like,
been engaged more than twice.
Right. It's like, oh, she just got out of this relationship with Rob Hill. I actually think my friend told me Charlamagne said something about it. I didn't hear it, so I don't know. But apparently Charlamagne said something like, you know, when she just married, like she should have just kept that to herself or something like that. Like, why is she posting about getting engaged when we saw you get engaged before you actually got married, and then you became like super quiet about what happened? So it's like you invited us into one part, but you didn't want to invite us into the other part, which I feel like...
Well, that's what everybody do on social media.
Yeah, and I just feel like, I was like, at that point, you know, you just kind of got to mind your business, though. Like, I mean, yeah.
Well, she said this was prophesied to her. John Gray. You didn't see that story on Essence? John Gray, the assistant pastor at Joel Osteen's church, the black man, he's really big. He was like, he prophesied, God told him that she was going to get engaged and this was like going to be it or whatever. So I don't know.
Okay.
But,
well, you know, well, cool.
Thankfully, it doesn't sound like she had to pay $252.38 for her. So I'm glad, you know.
It's coming from a credible source.
Yeah.
That God didn't say, give me your change, basically.
So maybe, I don't know. I'm happy for her. The pictures look nice.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Shout out to LaToya Luckett. I'm all for, whether I believe in it for myself or not, I'm all for love. I think love is amazing. I feel like
whether I believe in it for myself.
If love is for you, you know, grab it by the horns and take it down. But all right, that's gonna wrap up our mimosas and orange juice for this week. Y'all hit us up, use the hashtag ChatBC, hit us up on Twitter at Brunch Culture and on Instagram at Brunch_Culture, and we'll be back for our main dish.
And send us 38 cents if you feeling it. Apparently God doing something strange for a little piece of change. All right, we're back for our main dish. Today's main dish is something that if you're a young professional, you probably have had this experience. It is postgraduate depression and post-graduation depression. And I know I dealt with this both times I graduated, with my bachelor's and my master's. More so with my bachelor's because it took me a year to find a job. And I was applying everywhere. And it's nothing more discouraging than to be doing the work and not getting any return. Like, you're putting your resumes out and nothing's getting back to you. And then you got a degree and you working a part-time job and you making a little over minimum wage. And you're like, this is not the vision I had for my life post-graduation. I just put 4 years in. I walked across the stage. I was happy. We had the celebration. You know, you like, okay, now I'm about to go into my career. Everything's going to be gravy. And then the job is not there. So the expectation, it's like when your expectation and your reality clash, and then you're like devastation, because it's not like you pictured it, not like you imagined it. And it causes you to go into a depression, especially when people around you are getting jobs. And you're like, I don't know, did I pick the wrong degree? Do I need to start over? Like, then you start wishing you were back in school. It's a lot, you know. So it happens to us all. How about you?
Yes, it absolutely does. And so this came from the article that I don't know if I found it or you found it. One of us found an article. I think maybe you found it and sent it to me. And I just remember reading and being like, yo, this is a real thing. And it's something that we need to talk about because there's so many things that lead up to this. And I don't think that we're cognizant of it. And I think the important thing is, as somebody that once you've kind of gotten through that phase, first off, it's important for people to notice that and know that it's out there. But I think it's also important for you to be able to look back and realize what it is so that you don't run into that same situation after making some sort of like change, maybe like getting a graduate degree or some sort of other advanced certificate, or even changing like, you know, your position in your career and your job. Like, I feel like these things in today's time, especially for us, we have so many opportunities and things are so fluid at times in terms of our career. Like, it's easy to find yourself back in that space where you thought you had a plan, you've been working hard to get something, and it don't actually work out, or it doesn't work out the way that you thought it was going to work out. And then you just kind of looking around like, well, what do I do? Like, what happens? So specifically start with like post undergrad depression, because there was a very real thing. Much like you said, like, you know, you work hard and you bust your butt to get this degree, and you graduate and you see certain people. There's some people that, you know, look up and end up landing these amazing jobs with, you know, and they seem to just know exactly where they're at, and you're kind of like, well, I did all this work and I mastered this. I was like a leader in this space, but now I'm trying to like figure out what to do next, and I don't know what to do next. So one of the things that I realized just as I was reading the article and just kind of thinking about it, one of the things that I think leads up to, and the article alludes to it, that leads up to kind of almost the setup for you to be depressed, is that for most of your life, you've been in school. Mm-hmm. School is like this defined community that, you know, you eventually are set up to master. You think about it. You start off as like a freshman, if you will. You're new, you know, you don't know anything. Like, you have all these people that have way more experience than you, that have already have like social ties, and they know where they fit in, and they figured out their space in that world. And you are just getting there trying to do the same thing. You naturally learn to navigate that, and you master that. And so in college, you do that thing, and you've put in all of this work, and you've done it at different levels. You did it in elementary school, in middle school, you did it in high school, you did it in college. So you're used to being thrusted in this place where it's like a community of the people, which are 9 times out of 10 very consistent. It's easy to make friends, it's easy to make enemies, it's easy to resolve issues or conflicts, or you're gonna see people and stuff like that. Like, you learn how to navigate and deal with that space, and then you graduate, and then that's done. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you have to enter into the real world and the workforce. And even if you are somebody that gets like a career or like a good job, socially, your life is just completely different. Like, there are people that are going off to get married. There are people that move into another city. And so you have to like learn this space. So that's one of the reasons that this thing happened. I think another reason that's really big that we kind of talked about too is, you know, career wise. So we worked hard with these expectations to get into this career, and we don't do it. Or it doesn't turn out the way that we did. And so I know for me, those two things were kind of major. I wasn't really cognizant of the first thing of like, I just conquered this, you know, world of being at a university or being in school, and now I'm no longer living in that space. I was more so cognizant of the second thing, which was, I worked hard to get this degree, and I got this degree, and, you know, this was a challenge. It wasn't a cakewalk. It was a lot of late nights, a lot of hard work, a lot of frustration, a lot of, you know, anxiety and all of this other crap. And I got it. And I have work experience, but none of my work experience directly relate to this, because in order to get the internships that I needed to be more available, but those internships were unpaid or underpaid, and I also had to work to live and to stay in there to get this degree. So for me, it was really complicated, and I looked up in the sense that the department that I was working for created an opportunity specifically for me. But before that actually happened, which came like a couple months later, I had no real like nowhere to go, no real understanding of like what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just kind of like, I'm not sure. And I thought the reason I wanted to get this degree so that I can secure like financial stability. And here I am, unstable like a mug. Like, like,
what did I do this for?
Exactly. And I think people don't talk about that. And you mentioned it too, but like, there's this expectation of you got to have it together. Mm-hmm. I think that expectation comes from your family. The expectation comes from even your friends, and even, I mean, yourself too. Particularly, it comes from those people that I feel like seem to have it all together. One thing I've learned being on the other side is nobody has it together. Mm-hmm. Even those people that seem to have it together, that may have these bomb amazing opportunities, that may be taking pictures with all these very important people, or they seem to have become this very important person, they ain't got it together either. Like, they are, you know, things can pan out and have turned out right for them, but we're still very young. You graduate college at what, like, I think the average age is what, like 22? Mm-hmm. You don't know truly life. You don't understand like this career space. You don't really know, you know, what to do in that space.
You don't know what you want to do.
Exactly.
I mean, at 22, I never thought about podcasting. Like,
never. Never. Like,
you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that we're doing now at 30 that we never imagined at 22. And then there's so many things that we'll be doing in 10 more years that we never imagined at 30. You know, it's just
exactly. And I think that is literally what you just said. That is kind of one of the major messages to get through that type of depression. Like, if you know somebody that's going through that type of depression, or just kind of like a low rut, maybe like they can't be clinically diagnosed as being depressed, but they're just kind of like in a rut because they're like, yo, I graduated and I'm not where I planned to be, or I didn't get this job that I wanted to get. And it's kind of like, yo, that's common to many of us, because there's so many of us that are, you know, getting degrees and that are educated and outgoing and have like this great resume. And you can't get nowhere. One thing that was so crazy to me, I remember I applied for an audit job, because I remember getting I was trying to steer clear of like running down like all this detail stuff, but whatever. Anyway, I remember applying for this one job, and it was an audit job. And I just knew, I was like, okay, in this space, in this world, here is what I want to do. That's what I'm most interested in this space. That's what I think will allow me to leverage both, you know, my technical knowledge and my personality, my technical knowledge and my ability to communicate. Like, I feel like this is going to be it. Right. And I remember them telling me I needed 3 to 5 years of experience. And I was like, okay, so.
For entry level?
Yeah, for entry level. And I was like, okay, so how do I get that? Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, well, you got to, you know, work in a firm. And I'm like, okay, so my GPA wasn't high enough to make me one of the top people for a firm. So how do I get there? And they were like, oh, well, you just have to get other work experience. I was like, but I got other work experience. Like, I got, you know, leadership experience. I have like assistant management experience. I got like, you know, people skills, writing skills. I got all this stuff. And y'all are like, well, it's not specific to this career field. You need to get more specified, like, skills. And it's like, or experience. And I'm like, well, how do I get that if none of y'all gonna give me the opportunity? Like, I keep trying to do this and it's not gonna work. And I remember at one point in time just being like, you know what, like, I just gotta accept this. I remember having a conversation with my mom, and she was just like, you know, you just keep applying, you'll get it. But if this place is offering you, I remember getting a job from Target. I got a job offer from like their like management training program. And I knew then I'm only doing this for money. I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to work in retail. I think that it's great for some people, but I would literally I struggle enough with trying to balance my life. Like, in terms of, you know, career and social and all of this other stuff, I struggle enough with that. That's with a set schedule. If I had a retail schedule where sometimes I'm working late night, closing overnight, I would never have a life, because all I'm going to be thinking about is I got to go to work tomorrow. I got to go to work in 2 hours. I got to go work here. And so I knew that was me, but I think they were hiring, they started you off with like 50K or something like that. Or maybe it was like 45. Whatever it was just like, everybody was like, oh, you got the job offer. They actually gave me the offer and they mailed me the letter and I turned it down. I was like, and I was broke, like dead broke. Like, for real. I was like, yeah, I think at my other job, I was maybe making like $8 an hour. And I literally, it was like no salary. I don't even know if I didn't have benefits. I was still using my mama benefits. So it was kind of like, yo, I was real broke. And this would have been like the thing that I needed in order to have it. But I just knew that, I remember thinking like, I know then, because I got this degree, I want to utilize this degree, and I want to utilize this degree in this way. If I go here, I'm never going to be able to do that. Like, and I feel like I'm going to try to apply for that field eventually, and somebody's still going to tell me the same thing. You need specialized experience. And it's like, And so I had to end up going and kind of creating, which I didn't even know what I was doing. It wasn't like I had like a actual plan. I was just like, I know I ain't going to do that. I know I don't want to do that. I know that's not going to work for me. As much as great as the money sound, that's not going to work for me. So I'm not going to do that. And then a path started to kind of be etched, and, you know, I kind of got to a place where it's like, oh, wait, I'm exploring and living in this place that I wanted to be when I was initially set on this path. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm here, but I got here in such a crazy way. And I think that's one of the major things, is like, there is no, with that, if you're feeling depressed, there is really, for a lot of times, there's no like defined blueprint that if you follow that, you're going to get to where you want to be. You're going to be to success. Sometimes you have to really try some things and, you know, feel yourself out. Like, I know this ain't going to work for me. I know this might work for me. I know I can kind of do this, and you got to get in that space and kind of work that thing out in order to get there, because it's not going to be what you thought it was.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of like understanding the place that the postgraduate depression puts you in a place of desperation, especially when it comes to employment.
Right.
And it could put you in that desperation, can put you in a situation or cause you to take something that's going to put you in a deeper depression.
That's it. Yeah, that is really it. A deeper depression.
So you're doing this to escape out of desperation, and then you wind up in a worse situation because you didn't wait. So it's kind of like knowing the balance between, what do I take for sustainability, but what do I take for my sanity? Right. And so balance, being able to be sane and being able to be stable is that teetering thing.
Right. So in going to those times, was there anything that like you feel like you specifically did to kind of like shake it or to get out of that place at all?
It's gonna sound cliche, but prayer. And then I think for me, talking to people about it is something that I think was important for me, to talk to my friends about it.
Right.
Even as going through the grad school depression, you know, I've had several talks with you about things.
Yeah.
About, you know, navigating, what do I do next, and how is this going to pan out? Well, if I'm going to do just full-fledged, you know, entrepreneur thing, like going through that, you know, having conversations and getting those things out, because the thing is about the depression, it makes you only see the bad that's happening and not the good.
Right.
And so you need the conversation with your friends to point out the good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Many of my friends have said, okay, well, this is not bad. Look at what's going. It helps you refocus.
Right.
And so while depression, the postgraduate depression, makes you zero in what you're not, your friends help you zero in on what you are. And exactly. I think that's the for me, those were the things, like, okay, I need to realize the progress I have made and not look at the distance I have to go Um,
Right.
and let that be kind of the fueling for me coming out of the situation. You know, I was telling one of my friends that was experienced post grad depression. I was like, look at it this way: you got to graduate from school with no student loan debt. So even though you don't have the job you want, and other people might have the job they want, you're still ahead of them.
Yeah, that's
Like,
because I'm talking about. Look, that's some.
if we're talking about financial, and you're still ahead, because us who graduate with student loan debt know that we graduate in a negative. So if you graduated without it, you're in a positive. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So even though you seem to be behind, you're actually ahead.
Right.
Because we're working to get to zero. You're already there.
Right.
So,
Right. That's real.
So if you think of it like that, then it might help. You know, I know it doesn't alleviate everything, but changing having people to help change your perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's key.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. The other thing, kind of the flip side to what you said that's important, and it goes in line with it, is making sure also, like, while you're talking to people, also making sure that you are pushing out or keeping out those people that are going to be naysayers, that you aren't going to those people for advice, that you're not sharing them your every move. You honestly might have to, keep everything on the up and up. Like, how are you doing? I'm happy. How are you doing? Everything is going good. I'm good where I'm at now. I have a plan. Oh, so what's your plan to get there? I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this next. And that's just what it is. Like, you don't need to go in detail, because people will be, well, you need to do this. You need to do this. I specifically remember that there was this one person that graduated when I did, and she moved to New York, and she ended up getting like this like good paying job. And she was talking about how, oh, you should have just did this. Oh, you just need to do this. Oh, don't waste your time at that place. You're wasting your time there. You're too smart for that. And it was kind of like, well, honestly, with everything that I have and where I'm at, I want to make that move. It sounds great, but I don't want to just make that move with $200 in my pocket, knowing that I do have student loans, knowing that I do have, other financial responsibilities and obligations, but I'm just going to make that move, hoping and praying for something to happen. Sometimes for some people that works and you could do that. For me, I couldn't do that. And I remember having a conversation with her, and she was just like, I feel like you're just making excuses. It just don't sound like you really want it. And it's kind of like, yo, that's not helping me get through this moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not helping me get there. And like, I look at it now, and I look at where I'm at now career wise, and what I've been able to do, and all the things I've been able to achieve. And it's like, honestly, I can connect all of these dots, and all of these things led me to where I'm at now. If it wasn't for having this type of experience, this specialized experience, I wouldn't have gotten this role. That experience wouldn't have gotten me into that role, and then that role. And I wouldn't have been able to do that. And even heck, podcasting, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would not be in this space of being confident in myself, being able to deliver in this way, and to be creative, and to come up with things, if I had not gone on these journeys, because these journeys led me to meet people. These journeys led me to have conversations with people that I didn't think I was going to have conversations with, right? It led me to relationships that I didn't think I was going to have. And so I feel like, I say that to say, in that, really be mindful of the naysayers that you are engaging with too, because that, I feel like that really adds to it. Like, that adds to the struggle of the depression or getting over it. And like I said before, it's not just, we're talking about it from the state of like postgraduate depression, like once you've achieved something, but truly, I feel like that thing, and the reason that it's so important, and I wanted us to talk about it, is like, this type of thing can happen in any stage and space in your life. If you just worked really hard at something, and you thought that you were going to get it, and you achieved it, and then it looks different from what you thought it was going to look, it can really jack up your whole position, right? It can jack up your whole life, your whole mental state. You just kind of like, I've been working hard to get to this space, and now I'm in this space and it's unfulfilling. Or now I'm in this space and it's so much more that I got to do, or I don't have. Like, all of these different things can come. And I feel like it's really important to make sure that you are talking to your friends, but talking to your friends that are going to be positive, supportive, realistic, but still supportive of that and are going to give you the freedom to try something, fall on your face, and then try something else, as opposed to people that walk around like, I got it all together. I had it all together. I've been had it all together. I'm just out here enjoying my togetherness, and woe is you because you still out here trying.
Yeah, I remember that time. I think I told you about this. A friend of mine told me, she was like, I was really having a difficult time. And she was like, well, I think you should have went to nursing school. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? I don't even do medicine. Like, like I take it, but I mean,
right.
like, when have you ever seen?
I'm
I
on
don't
Google
have
trying
an interest
to
in science.
find out
Like,
how to get over this cough. What you talking about?
like, like, why is that? And she was like, they make money. Like, but I mean, you have to. For me, I think somebody who does that, they deserve the money because all they have to go through for that. You have to be passionate about that to do that.
Exactly.
I'm not passionate about seeing people like that. Like that, I want to help them in that way. I can't see bodily fluids. I can't do that. So I think, people sometimes give you solutions to a problem based off just one dynamic without looking at the thing. And it's kind of like, okay, I can make money, but I can make money doing a lot of things. That was the first thing that came to your head? Nah.
And truly, money is not going to make you happiness. Not going to make you happiness. Not going to make you happy. And it's not going to bring the long-term satisfaction that you ultimately want. And I think I'm glad you said that, because that's another thing that's like, I don't think people get, and sometimes I don't think we get it too. Sometimes we're always out here just chasing the dollar. Like, I'm doing this for money. But it's like, yo, you'll get to this place and you'll be making six figures and you'll still be like, but I'm not fulfilled. Like, I want, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want something else. Like, I want to feel like there's a purpose for what I'm doing. Like, that's not gonna be enough. And sometimes, especially if you have a setup that is conducive of you figuring out, finding out, or moving towards your purpose, that is amazing. Like, that's more incredible than somebody that's saying I'm bringing home, $150K a year. Like, because they might be doing that, and if anything goes wrong in that position, they're losing their mind. They're unstable. They can't, really find clarity of who they are, or feel like anything that they're doing is beneficial, because they're just doing it just for the dollar sign. The other thing that I've kind of been open to, and you can tell me what you think about it, but one thing that I've learned, and I learned it from reading, I think it was a friend of mine, I think my best friend sent me an article or something from an Oprah magazine, or maybe she showed me it when I was at her house. And there was a lady, she was having her third career change. Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking dang, she ain't figure out what she want. And it's like, no, I figured out what I wanted. I wanted to achieve this goal, and I wanted to excel in that. And I did excel in that. And I think she was something like 70 years old, and she decided that she wanted to I'm going to say nursing. Maybe it wasn't nursing. I don't think it was that. It was something else, but maybe she had been a nurse. I knew she was a nurse practitioner, and then maybe she did something she went to law school or something like that. But she really wanted to, she was like, yo, I've discovered this. I really like it. I want to learn this and be successful in this. And she ended up starting a business or something like that. And she was saying you're young, you have to be open to have career changes and find a purpose in that. So she was like, the purpose of me being a nurse practitioner was this thing. The purpose of me wanting to practice law was this thing. I've existed. And this is a bit extreme. So I'm not saying we all need to, have 5 different career changes, but it's being open to that too, because that not doing so also brings on a depression, feeling for many of us, one of the things is I went and got this degree based off of what I thought was going to make me money. Or people told me, if you just go to college, you get a degree, get a good job, you'll be happy. And so you do that and you realize, well, I've done this thing and I haven't reached the pinnacle of satisfaction or happiness. If you don't start to figure out what that next thing is, or what that purpose is that you need to exercise in your life, that will also lead to a different type of postgraduate depression that can be long term and honestly can probably be more detrimental than anything else, because this one will probably stick and it'll be permanent because you don't have, you know, something else to do. So I think that that's another thing that like we can, for me, is like, I believe that you should be open to those types of things and be open to exploring and assessing, like, who are you? Where am I? You know, where am I with my purpose? Where am I with my goals? What does this mean for tomorrow, for next year, for 5 years from now, for 10 years from now? Like, I don't feel like we should get into a place and be like, well, this was the choice I made, so I just got to ride it out for the rest of my life, even if I feel like there's no more purpose for me here. Nah, bro.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. And y'all hashtag ChatBC and let us know what you think about postgraduate depression. Share your stories with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with hashtag ChatBC.
All right. That's it. And we'll be back with our toast and roast.
All right, we're back with our toast or roast. And today I'm toasting my girl, Angela Rye, who is always on one. And I just love, the reason I love her is because I think that she's consistent wherever she goes. Like when you see her on the Breakfast Club, when you see her on CNN, when you see her on Instagram, she seems like the same person. And it seems like it's coming from a genuine place. And she said this one time, she was like, you know, if you ask my friends, this is who I am. And I love that about her, because as a CNN commentator, I think the most you see people and you see kind of their stick figure, you see what they're portraying. And right. I feel like she shows you the real. And no matter where it comes out, she said people call her hood and ghetto. And I'm like, but if you look at her story, you know, that's not even like, this is just her personality. Like, right. She just has a big personality. And I don't even think it's that big. I just think she's not going to take mess, and she's going to call you out on TV. I think people are intimidated by that. But I respect her, and I respect her hustle, and I respect the things she says and the way she stands up, especially in the age of Trump. And so shout out to Angela Rye. Hopefully I'll get to meet her one day and take a picture and, you know, tell her that I'm on one.
Come on, Angela Rye. I echo that, because I think Angela Rye is dope. I've thought that she's dope for like a long time, since I first was introduced to her on News One. Now she has definitely been dope. I'm gonna give just a quick toast, and I'm gonna make it quick only because I think I may have toasted to this before, but I watched Jay-Z's podcast interview. This was with Rap Radar on Tidal. That was released, and I watched the full thing. I was actually sitting in line to get the glasses, and I watched the full interview, and I just honestly just want to toast to Jay-Z and what he's doing to his entire team. He makes it a point to point out that it's not just him. It's a team of people that are, you know, working and doing this thing, and he's working with other people, and he acknowledges the fact that this is great, and it's great. You know, my words are great, and my ideas and my concepts are great, but I have producers and I have creative directors and all of these other people that's putting work into this 444 album, but also these footnotes and even, you know, the podcast. I think if you have Tidal, if you have the opportunity to watch it, I don't know if it's anywhere else, but watch it. It's like an hour and 9 minutes, but I feel like it's an hour and 9 minutes of him being transparent. I think you get to see, you know, why he's successful. You see the cockiness of him and his belief in himself. And to me, that taught me a lesson about what it means for people to be arrogant or to be cocky or to have like this immense amount of confidence in themselves. And I just think it's just a really good interview. And I think the way that he's trying to affect culture is in a purposeful way. And I think that's amazing. I respect him for that. I toast to him for that, because I feel like this is definitely, these videos and this album are going to be things that we're going to be talking about for years to come. And I think that is something that is going to be helpful to our community, specifically to Black men, to know things that we should be considering and addressing and pulling out. And I'm hoping that this starts a wave of other people to infuse these types of things about your relationships with your dad and your upbringing and stuff like that in your artwork and just everything you do. So toast to Jay-Z. I think it's amazing and it's super dope.
Awesome. We're going to leave y'all with today's good vibe. This week's good vibe comes from Oprah Winfrey. It says, courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And that's Oprah. So dope. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean that should stop you. Fear is a prerequisite for courage. So when you feel fear, that means you need to go for it. So go for it despite the fear. So thank you for tuning in to another week of Brunch Culture. You can catch all our past episodes at brunchculturebc.com. You can email us at brunchculturebc@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe and rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, everywhere. Really appreciate your feedback. Chat BC to interact with us. And remember, here at Brunch Culture, everything is up for discussion.